Okay, so we will start. Let me start with the recording.
This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah. So, welcome everyone. I'm Soumya and I'll be your host for this session. I'll just introduce you to Tech Canvas first. Tech Canvas is an IT certification training organization for professionals wherein we help students to crack their certification exams in first attempt. Being an authorized training center for IIBA Canada, we conduct all the IIBA certification courses like ECBA, CCBA, CBAP, and we also train people for Agile analysis certification. And we are also authorized training partner of Project Management Institute (PMI) for all the project management related certifications. And we also have domain courses into banking, finance, healthcare, and many more. Today we'll be discussing on how to crack PMI-ACP in first attempt, and our speaker for the day is JD. So JD has over 15 plus years of experience in the software industry, including roles such as project manager, engineering manager, development manager, delivery manager. He has end to end experience in successfully delivering projects on both the predictive and adaptive agile approaches. He is certified, he's PMP certified, and he's also a PMI authorized training instructor. So, from here, I would request JD to take the session ahead. Thank you for joining and hope you all have a wonderful session. Over to you, JD.
Thanks, Soumya, for the introduction. Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending on where you are from. Thanks for joining us. Soumya has given a pretty good introduction about me. So, I am one of the project management instructors from Tech Canvas. Today we'll be talking about how to crack PMI-ACP exam in your first attempt. So, who is this webinar for, right? Uh, if you are part of an agile team, right, practicing one or more agile methodologies, right, and if you are managing an agile project, right, if you are wondering how to apply various agile methodologies in your projects, or if you are looking for agile certifications like ACP and PMP, right, so this webinar is for you. Now, before we move into the actual topic, let us understand what is the motivation here, right? So McKinsey and Company, right? So there was a survey which found out that 93% of business units that had fully adopted an agile model before the COVID-19 crisis outperformed units that hadn't, right? So it was a worthwhile investment that organizations are preferring to have. 10 years 10 years before, probably, if I was in part of an agile training, people were always pessimistic. How would agile help my organization or my team, right? Today, organizations from medium to large sized enterprises are confidently moving towards agile transformation. So we are neck deep in agile transformation as we speak. Right? Now, now as per as per another survey, 68% of organizations state faster productivity product delivery as one of their key drivers for agility. Right? So if they were asked what is it that is motivating them to move towards agile, they are looking at faster product delivery as their outcome. Right? 68% is more than majority. So again, there is one more motivation for us. Right? So given this background, we will discuss today about what is the PMI-ACP certification about, what does the exam contain in terms of structure, in terms of duration, in terms of syllabus. We'll have a quick look at that, and we'll talk about how do we prepare for the exam, the strategy for the exam, right? And once we get certified, how do we maintain? And finally, we look at what is the Agile project management course that Tech Canvas provides. So going back to history, PMI-ACP was formally launched in the year 2012 by PMI. PMI is one of the leading non-profit institutes in project management. They're famous for their project management professional certification. So if you are working in an agile team or your organization is planning to adopt agile, then PMI ACP is a good choice for you, irrespective of what role you are playing in an agile team. The exam spans across approaches to agile. It covers your very popular Scrum from agile. It covers Kanban, Lean, which is the superset of agile, extreme programming, and test driven development. You can use this as a toolkit in applying agile practices in your team and in your organization. Now, let's quickly look at the exam. Right. The PMI ACP exam is based on something called examination content outline. Right. It's shortly known as ECO. This is how PMI designs most of their exams. Right. So, what is this exactly? Right. The ECO is the blueprint of the exam. You can Google PMI ACP ECO and you can download the PDF for free and look at the content. We'll go through a sample in the next slide. So for now, you can understand that the ECO is the blueprint for you for the PMI ACP exam. So you may be wondering if this is the syllabus or the blueprint of the exam, how is it relevant with what's happening in the industry, right? So PMI revises this ECO once in every 3 to 5 years, which means if new agile methodologies or new agile practices are being introduced in the market, in the industry, PMI would make sure that it is available as part of ECO. So that way your exam will be relevant. As I mentioned, this is the blueprint of your ACP exam. So what does it look like, right? So like any other PMI exams, at the top level you have domain, right? It is a high level knowledge area or a essential practice in project management. And then you have the underlying responsibilities under that domain. So that we call it as tasks. So this is the structure of your ECO. Let's look at an example. Right? Like any other project management methodology, even in Agile, we have stakeholder management or stakeholder engagement. So in your Agile certified practitioner, this domain has 9 tasks underneath it. And then you would see that they are grouped under 3 grouping, right? At first, we have how do we understand the needs of a stakeholder in a project, in an Agile project? How do we ensure that stakeholder is engaged uh, or involved in the project, right? I hope you all can see my screen. Can somebody confirm?
Yes.
Yes, we can see your
Okay. Okay. Somebody said that
Your font is very tiny.
Okay. Thanks for the feedback. What I would do is I would read it out loud for you so that you can make it out for now. Thanks for the feedback. Yeah. So coming back, every domain has a set of tasks underneath them. For example, stakeholder engagement. Like whenever you manage a stakeholder, you would have set of tasks to engage a stakeholder, right? Who is a stakeholder? Stakeholder is anyone who is interested in your project, right? He or she may be impacted by your project, or he or she may impact your project. So even in agile projects, you would have stakeholders, and in this case, there are a couple of tasks grouped together. The first task that says is understand the needs of stakeholder, right? That is the primary purpose why you're running a project. You need to understand what the stakeholder needs. And then the second group of tasks is grouped under ensure stakeholder involvement. Not only do you need to understand what the stakeholder needs, it is your duty to make sure the stakeholders are involved in how the project is progressing. And finally, manage the stakeholder expectations. Right? You need to constantly engage the stakeholder and understand his expectations. And it is more important in Agile that there are changing expectations, changing requirements. We need to keep that expectations healthy. So this would make logical sense to you, right? So likewise, we have 7 different tasks in your eco, right? The first is about agile principles and mindset. This is probably the most important domain, not only in your ACP exam, in your general agile practice itself, right? So you need to get the agile principles, the agile values that are out there in manifesto, understand them, why they have been designed that way, and then try to apply them in your agile practices. So that is the first domain about. The second domain is about value driven delivery. You may or may not have heard that agile focuses on value driven delivery, right? It focuses more on agile, and it centers everything around the value delivery, so that you focus more on agile, right? Even if you look at the modern agile frameworks like scaled agile or disciplined agile for that matter, they focus on value stream mapping, so that you know where the value is coming to your organization or to your product, and focus on how to deliver value rather, right? So you have a dedicated domain on value driven delivery. And as I took an example in previous slide, was something called stakeholder engagement. How do you engage stakeholders? That's equally important, right? Many agile contracts for that matter dictate that the customer stakeholders have to be closely involved throughout your product development. It makes sense that we have a dedicated domain on stakeholder engagement. We also need to constantly monitor the team performance with respect to what you are delivering. Like, we have a domain for that. The fifth domain is about how much adaptive are you, right? All agile methodologies are focused in a changing market, highly volatile market, people who are looking for business agility, right? So we as an agile team should be flexible to adapt ourselves to changing requirements. When there are frequent changing requirements, we need to be able to frequently change our plans. So that is why we have a dedicated domain on adaptive planning, right? And number six is about problem detection and resolution, right? When you are moving fast, when you're changing fast, you're bound to get problems, right? Like in a regular project. But in this case, the challenge is that you're moving fast. How do you detect the problem and resolve it at that same speed? So that is the reason we have a dedicated domain for problem detection and resolution. And finally, we have continuous improvement, right? This came from Japanese manufacturing methodology called Kaizen, where we try to continuously improve ourselves by taking feedback within, right? So the feedback for improvement can be on the product itself in terms of functionality of what we are developing, the process that we are using, and then the people related aspects, right? It can be any of this. So if you look at the entire domains in your ACP exam, they holistically cover all aspects of your agile, right? So, and if you look at the weightage on the right side, you would see that more of them fall within a range, right? The highest weightage is given to value driven delivery, and you would see slightly lower weightage on the continuous improvement part, but more or less they are between the range of 9% to 16%. So this is your blueprint for your exam, right? All these domains and the underneath tasks, you need to understand them before you start preparing for your exam. So coming to the exam, right, what does it look like? Right? The exam lasts for 3 hours, and then you have 120 questions. Right? And out of these 120, 20 questions are unscored, which means that uh, you would only be scored for 100 questions, and you do not know which of these 20 questions are unscored. They're very random. From your perspective, you need to attempt all the questions with full sincerity and commitment. Right? This is just for information that 20 of them are unscored. PMI uses them for analyzing certain statistics. And finally, you do not have any scheduled breaks like your PMP exam, but you can still take a break, but the clock ticks during the break. Right? So you should be very wary of it. Right. So this is your exam details on the ACP. Let's look at the exam structure. How does it go? We all know it comes from ACO, but let us look at some more details. The questions are multiple choice questions, which means you would have a question and you would have 4 to 5 answers to you to select exactly one correct answer from each the set of answers. There are no negative answers. As I mentioned earlier, 20 unscored questions, which are random, which means you need to attempt all the questions to increase your chances of passing the exam. Now, it is important, like any other PMI exam, that you need to reset your mindset when you're preparing for the exam. Right? The exam is moderately difficult, right? Given the fact that you understand what PMI has defined Agile is, right? Um, Very closely, PMI still defines Agile as per what the Agile Manifesto says. There are four values and 12 principles. We'll have a quick look shortly. But you need to wear the PMI hat in understanding Agile and the terminologies out there for you to crack the exam. Right? And a lot of people who are already working on Agile, given their company is practicing it, might not have been trained on Agile before. Right? They go to work, they get introduced to the concept, they start working on it, but they may not have been trained properly what Agile is about. Right? In those aspects, you need to unlearn certain things and understand from the scratch what are the principles and values, why did these practices come into picture, and then try and apply them in the exam. It has the unlearning aspect. So, what is the eligibility? Before we talk about the materials required for preparation and so on, right? You need to have at least 12 months of general project experience, right, in the last 5 years, and you need to have 8 months of agile experience, having worked with agile teams in any of the agile practices in the last 3 years. And finally, you need to have 21 contact hours of training, right, for the ACP exam. These are the 3 points for you to be eligible for ACP exam. Now, what do you need to prepare for the exam, right? PMI publishes something called Agile Practice Guide. Right? It is one of the reference guides for your ACP exam. It is a small but very informative booklet. You can get a soft copy from your PMI membership for free. Right? If you have a PMI membership, you can download a soft copy for free, or you can purchase a hard copy. Hard copy you can get it at a good discount if you have PMI membership again. So is the practice guide enough? Not really. The practice guide tells you various concepts in Agile, right? Uh, Across various areas of implementation and various methodologies, right? And across various levels of organization. But it that good enough? Not really, because the exam will test you how do you apply these practices in a given scenario or situation. And for that, you need a good prep book. So one of the most popular prep groups that we have is Mike Griffiths. There are many out there. I personally recommend Mike Griffiths. I have passed my PMP exam way back using this prep book, and I have seen many students do so. So I recommend this, but there are other popular books out there as well. Right? So why do we need this, right? The Agile Practice Guide itself is not completely enough. You need a guide that helps you do chapter-wise evaluation. Right? So this prep book that you see is built as per ACP Eco. Right? The 7 domains that we saw earlier in the session, the contents of the book go exactly in that order. So it kind of goes you through like how the actual exam is covering the topics. So as and when you complete every chapter, you can evaluate yourself whether you have uh, learned the subjects well enough. So at the end of every chapter, you have exercises which you can practice. Right? So make sure your edition of the book covers the latest ACP exam. Right? For example, at the bottom of the screenshot here, you see includes 2018 exam changes. That's very small for you to read, but the book cover says uh, which exam it is covering. So when you are purchasing the book, make sure it covers the latest ACP exam so that the entire syllabus is covered for you. So now that we understood what the exam is about and what are the materials that you need to prepare, let us look at how do you prepare for the exam. Right? Now, the total preparation time may take anywhere between 45 days to 60 days. I'm going to talk about it again later. Um, Anything less than 45 days can be very aggressive depending upon your workload. You may be doing your daily office work. Depending on your workload, less than 45 days might be aggressive. More than 60 days might be very diluted as well, right? Human memory is very volatile. And then what you read on the beginning of the preparation, you may tend to forget the aspects of it. So we recommend 45 to 60 days as the sweet spot for you to prepare for the exam. Right? First thing you would like to do is get a PMI membership. Why do you need it? You would need it anyway if you are going to apply for the exam, because you are going to get a discount for the exam if you have a PMI membership. Right? But is that the only benefit? Not really. You have many other benefits. Right? As I mentioned earlier, you also get a soft copy of Agile Practice Guide, which you can use for understanding what PMI thinks is Agile as well. Right? You also get access to various resources. For example, you get access to premium videos in projectmanagement.com, where you have regular webinars on demand as well as scheduled webinars, where you can go through industry challenges in Agile world as well. Right? And you get access to various other resources like the disciplined Agile ways of working. So you get an overview of how scaled Agile with disciplined Agile works as well. All this plus the networking benefits. Right? You get to network with various agile practitioners at various levels in their organization. What are the challenges they are facing? You get to network with them and benefit from their knowledge and experience. So first thing I recommend is get a PMI membership. The membership is valid for 1 year, and you are planning to finish your exam in 2 months at the maximum. So it makes sense for you to get a PMI membership first. What next is go through skim through the material. But before that, as I mentioned, the PMI-ACP exam tests your knowledge of application of Agile, right? And the foundation of Agile lies in 4 values and 12 principles. You can visit agilemanifesto.org to go through those 4 values and 12 principles. Uh, I can go through that, but again, that would take a complete session by itself. So, what these values and principles talk about is how can an organization be agile to deliver and develop products. So, you need to understand those 4 values and 12 principles as to why they were in the first place and how do you implement them. All your agile methodologies like your Scrum, Kanban, Lean, test driven development, extreme programming, Crystal, DSDM, all these methodologies have been built on top of these foundations of 4 values and 12 principles. Once you understand this, cracking these methodologies becomes very easy for you. So, this is what is called being agile and doing agile, right? Understanding these values and principles first, right, is being agile, and then getting to practice them is doing agile. From what I have seen in my experience in coaching agile teams across organizations, is that people tend to do agile first. I would not say people, I would say organizations tend to do agile first, and then when time permits, they try to be agile. That's the wrong way of doing it. Be agile first and then start doing agile. So that way, you would know why these practices, these ceremonies in agile have come because of certain values and principles. Right. So what is being agile? Is to understand the values and principles and apply the agile mindset. Right. In a way, you are embracing the agile manifesto. Right. Now, to be fully agile, your organization must undergo agile transformation. So that is the next level. For doing agile, implement agile values and principles. So your ACP exam, ECO, and the materials I talked about extensively talks about how do you be agile, about the manifesto, and then they go on to explain how do these agile practices, methodologies, and principles actually implement those principles. Once you have been through this agile manifesto, and understood these 4 plus 12, 16 items, then the first step logically would be to skim through the material, right? You need not go through in detail. Understand the structure of these materials, understand the content by their topics, understand the terminologies, and so on and so forth. So that would give you a big picture idea of what you are dealing with, like the vastness of the syllabus and the content inside it. You get an idea. Right? Understand the structure of the material. As I mentioned, understand key terminologies. Right? Understand the concepts at a high level. Right? And note down any questions to be clarified in prep course. And we'll talk about that in the next slide. Is that your prep course is going to be for a minimum of 21 hours. And in this prep course, we'll be talking about various topics that your exam covers. We'll go through them one by one, right? And then it's important that you utilize the instructor's time efficiently. Sometimes what happens is we go through certain certification prep courses, and then by the time we get the right questions, the prep course gets finished, right? So you have to get in touch with the instructor again, and that's not as efficient as asking him question in the live class. So what we suggest is before you start the prep course, go through the material. You may have some questions, note them down, and then you would be efficiently utilizing the instructor's time during the prep course. So that is exactly the reason why you need to at least read through the material at a very high level before you go through the prep course. So one of the uh, requirements for you to apply for ACP exam is that you need to complete a 21-hour prep course, right? So it is mandatory for the exam, right? And the prep course may spread across multiple weeks depending on the course. The pre-prep course work is a groundwork. As I mentioned earlier, if you skim through the contents of the material, it is a groundwork for you before you go to the actual course. And in the course, you can connect the dots. Right? You may have questions when you are going through the material earlier, right? You'll be able to connect the dots in the course. Right? And one more thing we recommend is at the end of every day in the course, go through the relevant topic in the material. Right? That would be connecting dots at various places. Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, make the most out of the instructor's time in the 21 hours. Now you would have got a fair idea about all the topics involved, and then you might have asked the questions to the instructor. Now all you need to do is revise what you have learned so far until you go to the exam, right? The last time when you went through the prep book, you went through at the surface. Now you would be going through the prep book thoroughly, right? You would split the total number of chapters into 2 weeks, and my graphics, for example, has 7 chapters, right? So which means you can spend 2 days per chapter and utilize the time thoroughly, right? You can connect the content with eco. My graphic has it already connected, so you need not worry about it from that aspect. And practice guide. Now practice the exercise at the end of chapter. Why you need to do it is to make sure that you understand how you have understood that particular domain, right? And note down the scores, because you would have to revise at least twice before you go to the exam. In the second revision, you need to compare your scores with the previous revision to make sure whether you have improved when it comes to understanding the topic. In revision 2, you would do the same thing, spend 2 more weeks, right, across the 7 domains, both with the prep book as well as your Agile practice guide. Practice the exercise at the end of the chapter, right? Note down the scores and compare with your previous scores. Hopefully, you have improved in the scores. Important thing is make sure you understand all the answers at the end of the exercises. The reason being, you need to understand why you were right with the question and why you were wrong. Right? Why you were wrong, it's easy to understand, right? We need to correct ourselves. But why were you right? Right? Sometimes our understanding of a topic may be different from what it actually is. And by stroke of luck, we might have answered it right. But we need to understand why we were right as well. Right? and repeat this until you have a score above 95% in chapters. So at the end of this revision too, you're pretty much confident about all the topics that are there for ACP exam. But one final push would be going through the mock exam, right? Uh, so there are various providers of ACP mock exam out there in the market. We at Tech Canvas have a comprehensive 1,000+ questions on Agile mock exams, right? So what we recommend is attempt 4 full mock exams, right? And at least 3, not less than 3, right? So the mock exam must simulate the duration too. Why is it like that? Because the actual exam is 3 hours, right? We are not used to attending 3-hour exams on an everyday basis, right? So it's better that you get used to it, applying your mind and physically being able to attend the exam for full 3 hours, right? Understand why when your answers go wrong, even in the mock exam, right? And the last 2 attempts of your mock exam should have scores greater than 80%. Okay, so that would be a confidence level for you that you are good enough to go and attempt the actual exam. Some additional tips for your exam is that keep in mind the exam is based on eco, which we have discussed earlier. Focus equally on value and principles as on methodologies. You need to understand why did those agile methodologies, where did they come from, right? You will always be able to connect the dots between the methodologies and the values and principles. Right? Follow the chapters as per eco. Apply for the exam at an earlier stage. So most of the PMI exam applications may go through an audit process randomly, right? So for you, to avoid the hassles of audit while you are preparing the exam, we recommend that you apply for the exam at an earlier stage, so that if your application is selected for an audit, you can go through the audit process quickly and then completely concentrate on your exam preparation. So that is one tip. And one more thing that I personally recommend a lot of students is to schedule a date for the exam as soon as your prep course is over. The reason being, your daily workload may make you push the exam date, right? But if you fix your exam beforehand, you will be forced to work reverse from that day, right? Kind of typical how project management works. You'll be forced to prepare reverse from the date, and that way you will be more disciplined. And as I mentioned in an earlier slide, attempt all the questions. There are no negative marking, and 20 of the 120 questions are going to be unscored. So you need to attempt every question to your full ability. Right. Make sure your prep book is aligned with the latest exam. The questions must be closer in complexity and content with the ACP exam. Right. So the mock exam tool that you have chosen should have complex enough questions similar to the actual exam. Right. On a tech canvas, we have reviewed and refined every question that we are putting in our mock exam question bank to make sure they are complex in terms of the content as well. So the mock exams that you choose must be able to explain both the right and wrong answers. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, that you need 45 to 60 days of preparation. Some people recommend 90 days, but in my opinion, that will be very diluted. Right? So anything below 45 days would be aggressive if you are a working professional, or anything greater than 60 will dilute the purpose. And I recommend 2 to 3 hours of preparation per day, right? Minimum of 2 hours. And then everything depends on your workload and availability, right? That's conditions apply. But during the weekdays, if you're not able to spend more than 1 hour, I suggest you to cover it up in your weekend so that you are on track with your preparation. Okay, so far we have understood what is the exam structure, how do you prepare for the exam, what are the materials, and some tips, right? Now, what about the actual exam? You have two options. Right? Either you take the exam at the center, or you can take it at your home, at your convenience. Now, it is an individual choice. How would you like to take the exam? But if you want to know my opinion, if I am attending any professional exam like the ACP exam, I don't want to be worried about power cuts or network disconnects or anything else that would distract me. Right? I want to be focused on the exam. Right? I would personally prefer an exam center. And if you're an exam center, you would have a slight exam tension, which is always good. But this is my personal opinion. But PMI gives you two options, either from the exam center or from the home. Okay, let's consider that you have passed the exam. Where do you go from there? Right. So you have 3 years until after which you need to renew your PMI-ACP credentials. Right. You have a renewal fee, but the PMI-ACP credential wants you to complete 30 PDUs of Agile education. Right. So this 30 PDUs roughly translates to 30 hours approximately. You should have undergone 30 hours of either taking trainings on Agile or delivering trainings on Agile, depending on your profession. Right. So once you uh, clear this qualification, you can renew your PMI ACP credential as well. So at Tech Canvas, we provide an Agile project management course. Right. It is a comprehensive introduction to Agile fundamentals. It covers various Agile methodologies, right from starting with the Agile values and principles to various Agile methodologies that your PMI ACP exam demands. You would have an insight into all this. Right. On top of that, we'll also cover end-to-end Agile project manager activities. Right. This course also covers the 21 PDUs needed for the PMI-ACP exam, which means once you cover this course, you can apply for your PMI-ACP exam, given that you have the other qualifications. Right. So we at Tech Canvas, we are on PMI, ATP, and IABA endorsed education provider. Our training offerings include business analyst, project management, and domain trainings, question banks across all the certifications. Our ACP uh, course also covers Agile question banks and mock exams. We have full length simulation exams. You can experience the actual ACP exam before you go to the uh, actual exam, right? And a lot of topics, terminologies, you would need flashcards and crossword puzzles for you to memorize all those topics. Right. So this was an overview. We would like to have questions from you, which I can answer about the PMI-ACP exam or a preparation course in general. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. I have one question. I heard many times the CAPM. What is this all about?
Okay. Okay. CAPM is a certification for entry-level project managers. Right. So there are two levels of project management certification from PMI. Right. If you are an experienced project manager, right, with around 3+ years of experience in project management, you can apply for the PMI PMP certification. Okay. But if you are someone who are looking for a role in project management, you may be a developer or a business analyst, or you are from a different role. If you are looking for a career in project management, if you are looking for a starting point, an entry level project management certification, we have CAPM from PMI. It stands for Certified Associate in Project Management. Right? It is for entry level project managers. And the qualification is that you just have a valid educational degree, and you may have zero experience in project management, but uh, it will test your knowledge on project management, not on your experience. So this is a good certification for you to go if you want to make that career jump into project management. So at Tech Canvas, we also cover CAPM certification course as well as PMP certification course. If just in case you are interested. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Do we have any more questions? Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, sure. So, Mr. Chanagiram, you talked about Tech Canvas offering or providing an agile project management course. I think towards the tail end of your presentation, is that something related to PMI-ACP, or is it a different information from PMI-ACP?
Yes. Good question. So PMI-ACP, right? It's actually applicable to any practitioner in Agile. If you are a product owner, if you are a Scrum Master, or if you're a member of an Agile team, it covers all aspects end to end. So what we did at Tech Canvas is we wrapped on top of it project management fundamentals as well. So that if you are also a project manager, and if you're looking at managing one or more agile teams, trying to apply various agile methodologies on those teams, this would help you go ahead and do that. So it covers PMI ACP. You can apply for the PMI ACP exam as well once you are done with the course.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Mohammed. I took business analyst ECBA course from Tech Canvas before, so I'm preparing for my exam now. But I have a plan to take ACP, but I'm this year, so I'm thinking to get the training. But my question is because previously last year I took preparation for PMP. But I changed my mind because of some personal issues. So I was thinking to get PMI-ACP right now. So if I take this one, it will help PMP later because I know the PMP has changed to Agile right now.
So 50% of your questions in your PMP exam is going to come from Agile. Right? And again, even in our PMP course, we stress a lot on Agile because a lot of PMP aspirants do not come from Agile background. So that's the statistics we found. So 50% of your questions in PMP exam are going to come from Agile. Since PMI, ACP, and PMP both are from PMI, the syllabus covered is the same, right? If you have an understanding of Agile, after you cover your ACP, those 50% of the questions will be easily covered here as well.
Now, I took a lot of course on Scrum and Agile before, but I'm thinking to get certification right now. So I thought I should go ACP first, and then if I need PMP, then I'll get it later. Because I'm working in IT project right now.
Okay.
So that's why I'm taking my business analyst first, and then I'm going to ACP. Is it a good move, or what do you think?
So before I answer that question, I have a small question for you. Are you working with Agile teams as we speak?
Yeah, I'm working in Agile project right now, last 2 years.
Okay. And from your career plan perspective, are you looking more towards the product owner, product management, business analyst roles, or how is it like?
The thing is, I'm not from IT background, so I'm from economics and management background. So I moved to project management. I took a lot of project management course, and I got a job on that. And then since my project is IT, so I had to take, based on my work, I had to take business analyst training and Agile Scrum training. So I'm liking it, but that's why I'm trying to shape my career towards that.
Okay, now I got the answer I was looking for. I will answer your question. Increasingly, so 10 years back, right, Agile practices, when they were implemented, organizations were reluctant to move to Agile because the methodology was seeping into the market and people were not confident, right? So at best, any given Agile team, they used to practice Scrum or at max Kanban. Now what happens is, if you are moving towards project management, 1 year down the line, or even now for that matter, These two methodologies are not enough. You need to understand at least 3 to 4 methodologies and apply them given the context and situation. So your PMI-ACP syllabus covers 4 to 5 such methodologies, right? So if you are moving or looking for a project management role in future and looking for agile project management, ACP covers all the toolkits, tools and techniques that you need to apply on those agile teams, right? So if that is the career path, I would highly recommend PMI-ACP.
Yeah, because I did some research recently and I thought, because initially I was planning for PMP and then I decided to go ACP because I thought that is more of similar kind of work I'm doing right now. So maybe it will help to get. But I also have a plan to get PMP later.
Okay. And then to add on top of my answer, from project manager, what companies are expecting is that typically agile organizations, they want a project manager who handles multiple agile teams. Right? So he should understand what are the tools and techniques to apply to which team based on which context that team is. So ACP will give you all those tools and techniques for you to apply.
But I know PMP has more recognition than ACP, like which is because I'm in the new in this area. So.
Yes. There is a reason for that because PMP is spread across industries. In the sense, a lot of people from non-IT as well, they come to PMP, and it is a very classic way of looking at project management. Now that they have changed the syllabus, so it has a long, goodwill in the market as a certificate. So people still hold on to that a lot. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure, Mohammed. Thanks. Ramesh has a question. I have 12 years of experience in commercial banking with no IT experience. Should I take ECBA first and then move towards CAPM? That answer depends upon what is your career plan. If you're looking to move towards project management in your career plan, right, and you have no experience in project management, but your career plan has project management, let's say next 1 year or 2 years, go for CAPM, right? So go towards where your plan is towards in your career, right? If you're planning for ECBA or business analyst roles, go for ECBA. Tech Canvas provides both these courses, by the way. Hope that answered your question, Ramesh. Okay. Anyone else has any questions?
It's Mohammed again. So can you explain about your training program starting February, how it's going to happen and how many classes and everything?
Yeah. So this PMI recommends 21 hours of training for you to apply for the exam. We would be adding a couple of more hours on top of that to talk about project management fundamentals. Right? And we'll quickly go through, we'll also go through Jira as a tool. How do you manage projects using Jira? Okay, agile projects. Right. On top, it should go around 24 hours to 25 hours, the entire training. And we will be covering the training exactly as per exam eco. So that way, you would be kind of going through the preparation of the prep materials as well, right? At the end of every topic, you can go back to your prep materials and then go through the topic. That way, if you have any questions, come back to the class and ask it and get it clarified immediately rather than realizing it after the course. So it will cover all the eco topics that we talked so far, the 7 domains. On top of that, we'll talk about project management as well.
So is it a live class or like a self-paced class?
It is a live class. Yes.
It's a live training and it is weekend training, just to add.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Ramesh has one more question. I am 40 years old, so whether age should be a factor in picking up certificate like ECBA or CAPM? If you ask me, no. Right? I am seeing individual contributors greater than your age. Okay, it all depends on how you are planning your career. Okay, but if you have not worked on project management, if you are interested in that path of the career, your logical point to start is CAPM only. Okay. Answer is no. It doesn't. It should not impact at all. Looking at your questions now, I highly understand your background now. So CAPM is the right entry point for you. So it will give you all the tools and techniques needed for you as a project manager. You would be knowledgeable. You can go back to your organization and negotiate for a project manager role once you get your CAPM certification. Hope that answered your question.
Hi, Mr. Janagiram. This is Anand again. To my earlier question, going back to an earlier question that I asked, that you clarified as well, about the Agile project management course that Tech Canvas provides. Is it for which of these three courses that you show in this slide here? PMI, ACP, CAPM, or PMP?
Yes, that is PMI-ACP.
Oh, that is PMI.
PMI-ACP covers Agile project. So ACP focuses on completely on Agile. That is the reason we are covering it as Agile project management course. For entry-level project managers, right, we have CAPM. For experienced project managers, we have PMP.
Okay. When you say experienced project manager, and that's a follow-up question here, say for PMP, and by the way, I will be a to be project manager, or I look forward to become a project manager. I'm working as a business analyst. So, do you think PMP needs? I suppose you already have told it. I'm sorry, otherwise if I missed it. So, do you think PMP needs some good years of experience before I take on the exam itself? So, would you recommend CAPM then?
Right. PMP, the qualification is you need at least 3 years of experience as a project manager. 3+ years of experience as project manager. Okay. So if you do not have that experience, you can go for CAPM.
Okay, makes sense. And one last question here. So about the these PDUs, the PDUs that you were talking about, I think for PMI, ACP, how can one go about acquiring them for each of these courses here?
Okay. Yeah, good question. You need to, so all of these courses, right? Once you get a certification from PMI, you need to maintain them as well. Right. For example, PMP needs to be renewed once in every 3 years, and ACP needs to be renewed once in every 3 years as well. So, for you to renew, of course, you need to pay a renewal fee with PMI. On top of that, they will expect you to attain certain learning hours during these 3 years, right? So you can attend webinars from Tech Canvas as well. You can attend webinars from any other institute, any courses that you undergo on Udemy, or if you are undergoing any training in project management, any of the topics, right? You can submit those hours as well, right? There are many free webinars out there. There is a website called projectmanagement.com. You can go to that. There will be many on-demand webinars. You can attend them and you can claim them. All of the webinars is about project management, right? So any of these learning methodologies, you can always claim them as part of your PDUs.
And are those PDUs required even to take the exam in the first place, the first time?
Okay. Yeah. So you don't need. So all the PDUs that you need for the exam is covered as part of the course, right?
Oh.
So your PMI ACP needs 21 PDUs. We will give it to you as part of the course. CAPM needs 24 PDUs. We will give it to you as part of the course. PMP needs around about 35 PDUs. We will give you as part of the course.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Sure. So Ramesh says, I'm not from IT company. Continuing with the earlier answer, all these certifications you see on screen, none of them mandate you to come from a certain background. Okay, they only deal with the their own aspects. For example, ACP needs 8 months of Agile experience. PMP needs 3+ years of project management experience. CAPM needs no experience whatsoever. Right, even project management students also apply for that. Bhargav has a question. Would you recommend getting a PMP first, followed by ACP? Since PMP is the foundational course and ACP is more specific. Not really. PMP covers, there are two ways of managing projects, right? Traditional project management, right? It's called waterfall and agile project management. So your PMP covers 50% of each. Okay, if you are running traditional project management in your organization, or you're focusing on that, okay, and you have been doing that for 3+ years, you can go to that. PMP is not foundational; it is for experienced professionals. Okay, ACP is for agile projects only, right? And ACP need not be only for project managers. You can attend ACP course if you are a product owner in your agile team, or a business analyst in your agile team, or agile team member, or a scrum master. You can always go for ACP. It is just to evaluate your agile knowledge. So to answer your question, Bhargav, if you are working in an agile team and not a project manager, or if you are planning to manage only purely agile projects, go for ACP. Okay. Or if you have 3+ years of experience as a project manager, and if you be managing both traditional and agile projects, go for PMP.
So yeah, I have a question here regarding your answer. Because I'm not a manager, but I want to move to a managerial position. So, but I'm working as a like a coordinator or team lead in agile environment. So, and I have some one PNP in my team, and I am seeing a lot of position regarding they're asking PMP, especially because a lot of managers and senior person who are experienced, they don't know about much about PMI-ACP because it's kind of a getting popularity right now. So to go to that, should I go with the PMP first or as a ACP? Like, because I'm really confused here because I'm I finished my training on PMP first, and now I'm thinking about more ACP. So.
Okay, you finished your training from PMP, and in your question you mentioned that you have no experience in project management, right? Is that what I heard?
No, I am working in project management last few years, like more than 4 years. But I'm not in a managerial position. But I'm a team lead position.
Okay.
So I want to move forward.
Okay.
Because that's why.
Okay, I understood the background now. So if you have finished your training on PMP, I highly suggest go and finish the exam. Okay, not to leave it halfway through. Just finish the exam. You will gain your credential. You will add weightage to your resume in your organization. Finish that formality first, and then since you are focused on agile teams, you can have your learning and career plan to do ACP. Okay, it becomes easy for you because PMP covers anyway 50% of agile. Then covering ACP also becomes easy for you.
Okay, now I got a clear answer because then ACP will be a little bit easy for me if I take next year. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
I have a quick question. In the beginning, I saw somewhere Scrum Master.
Yes.
What is the difference between Scrum Master and this PMI, ACP, and things like this?
Oh, they are different certifications. There is one more certification called Certified Scrum Master. Okay, so in Agile, we have various roles. We have the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the Scrum team. Okay, so Scrum Master certification focuses only on the role of a Scrum Master, right? That is what the certification is all about. Now, ACP covers all the roles and all possible methodologies, tools, and techniques you can apply using these roles. Right? So it is a very vast. It is even more broader when it comes to covering syllabus. So that is a difference. So your certified Scrum Master is more narrow. It focuses on only Scrum Master role. Your ACP focuses on all the roles and all the methodologies. It is more broader in that sense.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
Sure. Any more questions from anyone? Okay, there is one question. What is the difference between PMI-ACP and Iaba AAC in terms of knowledge gained? Right. Okay. ACP, as I mentioned earlier, is it gives a comprehensive knowledge on the end-to-end aspect of Agile. What are the roles involved? How do you bring in the requirements? How do you execute projects? How do you deliver? How do you improve? End-to-end comprehensive knowledge on Agile. Right. AAC, right, focuses more on business analysis in Agile. Right? Because a lot of organizations are moving from traditional to Agile. How do they transform from a business analysis standard role to managing requirements in Agile projects? So the focus is more on that. Sure, Marga.
Hey, hi, Mr. Janagiram. In order to enroll in any of these courses, should I get in touch through this email or by contacting the number?
Sure, please. You can drop in a mail to Brijesh with your contact details, or you can reach directly on the number. They'll guide you.
Well, and after we enroll in any of these, the program preparation guide and the exam guide prep materials and other things some that you talked about will be a part of the curriculum and will be known to us, right, through that course.
Yeah. So there are three things here. We from Tech Canvas, we provide our own materials to you.
Oh,
Throughout the course. That is one part of it. And the Agile practice guide that I talked about, that is from PMI. Okay, that is a PMI's Bible for you to understand Agile. So anyway, you would be getting a PMI membership when you are trying to apply for the exam, right? So you can download that soft copy. So the other book that I mentioned in Mike Griffiths is just a recommendation that that will help you prepare for the exam. It's just a recommendation. But from Tech Canvas, we'll give our own materials to you.
sure.
We
Thank you.
give you not only the materials, the question bank, mock exams, and the flashcards and puzzles for you to practice or memorize the topics.
Sure, and these courses are delivered online. So since I'm in the US, so I will be able to still take it up online based on the India time. Are these
Yes,
from? Okay, okay,
all our courses has a mix and match of people from various geographies. So it's all online course. Yeah.
okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Welcome. Okay. If there are no more questions, you can reach out to us on these contact details, email and number. I'll leave it to Soumya from here.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining. JD, I think this was a very insightful session. And so our batches are going to start from February. And if you enroll by, say, around 31st of January, there'll be an early bird discount that you can also check out our website. You can find those details, or you can get in touch with Brijesh on the contact number and email. There also, he can provide you the details. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
Thank you.